Hi everyone, John here for Human Potential once again. So I just want to, today's topic, we're going to still continue sort of my health journey. Last time I talked about anxiety and kind of how what I do to help me get over the anxiety. Anxiety is just one of those things. And I think a lot of this, eventually, what I'm getting to or starting to understand is how the gut affects the brain as well. How the gut really just affects everything. And I think that's the huge thing, the microbiome of the gut. I'm really researching that as far as how that helps our quality of life and health. But some of my health struggles that I had, now I've always exercised, I've always worked out, I've always been athletic in some form, some fashion. I've always done everything. My diet, on the other hand, was not really ever on point, 100%. And what led me to get a calcium score, a calcium CAT score, really I didn't even know that even existed. But so to backtrack, like I said earlier, my stepdad, my mom and my stepdad lived in California. I live in Arizona. I moved out of that just hellholes of a state. And I can't stand California. It is DEFCON 5, 24/7, complete stress in the Bay Area, let's say. The outskirts, maybe not so much, but in the Mecca, like the Bay Area, where there's like 80 billion people, it's rough, really, really rough. But I didn't really know that because I grew up there. So my vision of California is when I grew up there, not so much what it is today, which I found out. But I was, so my stepdad passed away. My mom needs care. So my wife and I decided to rent our house in Arizona and then move to live with her in California to take care of her. Because she didn't want to come to Arizona. Huge mistake. But nonetheless, we did that. So before I left, I wanted to get everything taken care of as far as health. I should say I started this prior to all this happening, to be clear. So I said, I'm getting to that point. I'm 57, I believe at the time. I'm now 59. To get myself checked up, I went to a cardiologist and I told him my history of heart disease in my family. On my dad's side, mainly, just like everybody's dead. Very few. I think I got one uncle left. Maybe an aunt left too. But pretty much all of them, heart disease. And so he said, one of the best tests is a calcium score. And it's a CAT scan, basically. And anything like they say 400 and above is not good. 0 is the best. There's a guy by the name of Dr. Berg. He talks about the CAT score too, the calcium score. And, you can see this all over the internet. I didn't know about this at the time, but I said, okay, let's do this. I went and got the calcium CAT score, CAT scan, I should say. And I was a little bit worried, but like 0's on the left and the right main, except for the LAD. The LAD is basically the widowmaker. That came back at 800. So I don't really know what that means, but 800 is not good because anything over 400. And then I had like a peripheral vein off the LAD that was like 256, right? So your total score, you don't want over 400. I had one at 800. That basically scared the crap out of me, right? Now, what's funny is the cardiologist that I went to at the time, I was freaked out. He goes, mine's actually higher. His total score was actually higher. So then what do they want to do? So they want to put you on a statin, right away. Now, I don't know if you've read about statins. Now, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you my research. But statins are not good, right? I mean, everything. And the percentage that they actually help, they say, is so small. So I was like, okay, no, I don't want to take these statins. My wife is completely against statins. I have a cardiologist that I went to. His name is Dr. Jack Wolfson. He's a board certified cardiologist. He has a wife who is a chiropractor who basically said, "You're killing people." And he's like, "What?" So he starts to do his own research. And when I went to see him long before, he didn't prescribe statins, and he gave me like magnesium, potassium. He gave me like vitamins. Unfortunately, he then left that practice to start his own sort of natural approach, which is more a healthier approach. The only problem is he didn't take insurance, right? So, I'm like everybody else. I have to deal with cost. I have to deal with, the affordability of it. And I stopped seeing Dr. Wolfson, even though at that time he was a paleo. He said, "You got to change your diet," which I did for a short time. My blood pressure dropped, everything dropped, but I didn't continue it. Because, well, I thought the out-of-pocket costs, right? So here I am putting money above my health. Fast forward to now, I'm just like family history, don't know what's going on. I get the calc score with this new cardiologist, comes back at 800. Now I'm freaked out. So what do? Go back to Dr. Jack Wolfson, and he doesn't like the calcium score, the CAT scan, just because of the radiation. He goes, "That's okay. We did it. We don't need to do that anymore." But I go on a total regimented plan back when I was doing before, which is paleo, it's all about diet. Get rid of the sugars, processed foods, no alcohol. I did it for 3 months. I lost 65 pounds in that 3 months. Now, in the midst of that, my stepdad passed away. We decided to move to California. So guess what? Again, I put my health on hold. I don't go back to that cardiologist for any follow-up, for any echocardiograms, for anything like that to really see what's kind of going on inside. I decided that now we're in pack mode, we're in move mode, all that. So I decide that, I'm putting my health aside, making myself number two. Now, what they always say is, right, put the mask over your face first before you put it over somebody else's. That's the truth, okay? My point to this is put yourself first. In order to help others, put yourself first. So I put it all on hold. Now, remember, I had a calcium score of 800. I don't really know what that means, other than everything I read on research, internet. Anything over 400 is not good, right? Like you could die. That's that's all I really know. I don't know the extent. I don't know anything at this. None of that stuff. But oh well. So there I go. I change my diet, take out sugar, alcohol, all that stuff. Get rid of it. For 3 months, I lose 65 pounds. In that midst, I'm walking every day. And here's where I screwed up was I really just, other than walking, stopped working out with the weights and these kinds of things. And so I did lose a lot of weight, but I did lose some muscle too, which kind of, if I had to do it over again, I would have did it differently to where I wouldn't have lost as much muscle as I did. But I definitely lost a lot of fat, lost a lot of weight, and was looking pretty good, and walking anywhere from 2 to 5 miles every day. Just walking. And there wasn't anything like, running extensive. I can't stand to jog. I can't stand running. To me, it's so boring. It makes me just want to blow my brains out. I know people love it and they say it's good for you. I just don't like it. I like hiking and these kinds of things. And so I did that. And I lost the weight. I lost a ton of weight. And was feeling pretty good. Unfortunately, I was living in California, taking care of my mom. It was anytime you go out in California, in the Bay Area, in the Mecca. I spent an hour one time getting over the Bay Bridge. There was that much traffic. It's DEFCON 5 to go to Costco. Everywhere you go, it's just a billion people. It just sucks. It really is not my kind of living. I know if people are used to it, maybe they're used to that high level of awareness and alert or stress. And so that's my point. I was under a tremendous amount of stress. Living there, taking care of my mom, and my wife was under a tremendous amount of stress. My mom, if you don't, just to let you know, is dealing with dementia. So she cannot take care of herself. She forgets basic fundamental things of life, which we have to make sure, she eats. It's a whole thing. If anybody's dealt with this with an elderly, they know. They get very mean. They can't, they soil themselves, and you got to make sure they take showers, and it's a whole process. Not only that, but living also in California. So we did that for a year, and it was incredibly difficult. I can't even tell you how difficult it was to live in California for that time in the Bay Area. The best thing was I got to reconnect with my sister again, because she actually lives in California. So her and her husband, Bob, we connected again. It was fun doing stuff, going to the games and doing stuff with them, seeing them almost every weekend. That was great. Other than that, California sucks. It just does. It's a crappy place. They've just taken that state and driven it in the ground. Nonetheless, it is what it is. Very stressful. My wife and I are come to conclusion that we're done. We're not doing this. I tell my renters that, who wanted to stay, that I'm sorry, we're coming back because this is ridiculous. And I tell my mom there's no option anymore. We're done with California. We're gonna rent her house in California, and we're coming back to Arizona because we just can't deal with it anymore. Basic things: going to Walmart, going to Costco, just living life is so much easier. It's not as many people. And we missed that, and so we did. Here we go again. We're going to pack up. We're going to move back home. But my wife was so excited when we decided to move back home. She started crying. I remember we were eating breakfast at this restaurant because we just went to be by ourselves, take a little ride. Needed to just have a half hour by ourselves. And my renters had called at that time during breakfast, and they said they wanted to, renew the lease. And I told them, I was friends with them. I told them that I'm glad you called because I got some news of my own. We decided to come back. I'm sorry that it was only a year for you, but we can't handle California. And he totally understood. And he goes, actually, I think that's better for us. Anyways, he had something else that he was deciding whether he wanted to do or not, and it made his decision easier for him and his wife. So it actually worked out for the way it was. But I went and told my wife, who was eating breakfast, hey, guess we're going back. And she's like, just started crying because she was so relieved. It was very, very stressful where we were at. But there we go again. More stress. We're packing everything up, but at least we're packing to come home. Now, still put everything, all my health issues on hold, allergies, everything. Didn't think about it, okay? Just lost the weight, thought I'm doing good. And I come home, we start to put life back together here in Arizona. And I basically transferred. I'm working for FedEx at the time. I transferred from California back to Arizona, and I'm working out. I still do my workout. We actually ended up joining a gym because I wanted to start lifting weights again. I do weights and some alternate HIIT training where you really get the heart rate up. And what happens is I come home, and 7 o'clock in the morning I have this pain, kind of. And I get anxiety when I get that, and it's like, so sometimes you don't know if it's anxiety, you don't know if it's heart, pain, you don't know what it is, right? I'm sure if anybody's gone through anxiety, you can concur, because anxiety gives the appearance of heart. That might not be. But, so anyways, I have pain in my chest area. And 7 in the morning. I go to work. It lasts all day until 1 o'clock in the morning. And so we finally decide to go to the emergency. Okay? We go to the emergency. They go, wow, you look great. You're fit. You look in great shape. I passed the EKG, passed all the tests. And they're like, there's really nothing here. So we're going to do this enzyme test. So they take blood, and there's an enzyme in your blood. I guess they can determine if it's elevated, whether you're having a heart attack or not. And I forget the name of that enzyme, but I'll have to get it. And anyway, so mine's at 1.9. 6 point something, I guess, or 6 is basically a heart attack. And so they were like, okay, it's really, and then it went to 2.0. So they go, okay, so this is elevated, and it went up. And they go, okay, we're gonna go in there, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna go in through my wrist, and they're gonna take a camera, then they're gonna go and look at the veins and look at the heart and all those kinds of things. And they go, honestly, I don't think we're gonna find anything, because I mean, you seem in great shape. You really don't have any of the signs of a heart attack or anything of this nature. So I don't know nothing from nothing. But then they go, okay, so if we find anything and we can stent it, we will stent it. Okay. Well, they didn't stent it. They pull out. I come out of this, and they said, you have 90% blockage in your lower portion of your LAD, and then some peripheral damage, like 30 to 40%. Wow. So I'm freaked out. Now I'm like, whoa. So on one hand, yes, you found out. On the other hand, you're a little freaked out because you have this 90% blockage in your Widowmaker LAD. What's really crappy about this is my wife of today lost her first husband to a heart attack in the Widowmaker. Like 44, just kind of fell over and went boom, died. So it's for her pretty stressful, and it's a interesting reality to go through. You don't really know what to expect. Even through all my dieting and all that stuff. Now people are going to say, oh, it's family history and all those kinds of things. It may or may not be true, but also I didn't eat well for a good long while, and I had damage prior to my eating habits change, which I don't really call a diet. I'm going to call it a lifestyle. I changed my lifestyle is what I did. And by doing that is how I lost the weight. But damage had already been done. Now, is it reversible? I don't know. I wasn't able to do it. But the doctor did say that stress is a huge cause of heart disease. It causes inflammation, right? So inflammation is a big key in heart disease, right? And I had put my health on hold for that entire year. Now, this might have been found out a year ago, right? Before I came back to Arizona. But because I put everything on hold, I did not know the circumstances of what an 800 calc score actually really means. I found out, thankfully though, nothing, I mean, I'm still here. It didn't happen, somewhere else, but it did happen here in Arizona, and which led to then me, which is crazy, a bypass surgery. And that's what we're going to get into next episode here. But what's really funny is they gave me an option. They're giving me, a non-doctor, do you want a stent or do you want bypass? What do you mean? You said if we can stent it, we'll stent it. And you didn't. And now you're saying we can either stent or not. So then why didn't you stent it to the first place? So I'm going to leave you with that. I know it's a little cliffhanger. And then we're going to talk about my bypass surgery, how I survived that, and my rehab afterwards. But the main lesson today is really don't put your health on hold, right? You have to take care of you first before you take care of anybody else. Because you're no good to anybody else if you can't take care of yourself. If you're not healthy yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. Okay, that's just reality. So, this whole thing is, I'm doing it for them. That's malarkey, okay? You don't want to live your life that way. You have to take care of yourself, otherwise you're no good to anybody else. So it's all about loving yourself, being good to yourself. And when you do that, you're actually helping others around you because you're an example for others. And I actually saw that firsthand because my friends then said, okay, I'm going to get myself checked out. And my friend, my good buddy, brother from another mother, what's funny is he had a bypass surgery a year before I did. And he said to me, do you have to do everything I do? And it was a shocker for us when we found out. And it was like, oh, crap. So that was the universe telling me that I didn't take a heed to. I didn't take, oh, man, maybe I need to go further with just getting checked out. But I didn't, not until I got back to Arizona. And so you definitely need to take care of yourself first before you can help others. Guys, remember, this is a great, great channel of loving, beautiful, think it, be it, believe it, achieve it. We want to build this community, build the awareness so people can make their own choices in their health, in their spirituality, life, all areas of life. So we can expand our brain, expand our knowledge, pull ourselves out of the matrix, if you will, and really start thinking for ourselves and honoring that love within. Because I will tell you that God, Goddess, universe, all that is, whatever you want to call it, has not and will not ever leave you. You are a part of it. You are a part of this greater collective, this whole. You have the ability to create a life that you want. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Always love yourself for who you are.